Welcome to the Motherhood Alliance podcast, the podcast dedicated to empowering moms and families on their health and wellness journey. I'm Brittany Suttner.
And I'm Drea. Together, we're here to explore holistic approaches that go beyond conventional medicine.
Each week, we dive into topics that matter most to you, everything from nutrition and mental health to alternative therapies and natural living.
We'll bring you the expert interviews, insightful discussions, and practical tips to make motherhood a little easier and help your family thrive.
Please keep in mind that this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to replace the advice, diagnosis, or treatment plans you have with your personal healthcare team. Please have a conversation with your trusted healthcare provider prior to making any changes or implementing any strategies or advice you learn from this podcast.
Whether you're a new mom navigating the early stages of parenthood or a seasoned pro looking for new ways to support your family's well-being, you're in the right place.
Here at the Motherhood Alliance podcast, we challenge the status quo, ask the tough questions, and offer a supportive community for moms who want to make an informed, holistic choice.
Thank you for joining us on this journey.
Let's get started. Hi, we are Brit and Drea from motherhoodalliance.com, and we are excited to introduce you to Martha Bailey, a board-certified nurse coach and the owner of Wellness on the Wolf based out of Fremont, Wisconsin. As a nurse coach, Martha specifically loves to help adults better manage stress and anxiety, find work-life balance, improve sleep, support sustainable weight loss, and navigate life changes. With a background that spans hospital work, travel nursing, and many years in oncology, Martha brings a deep experience perspective to coaching, which we can actually personally speak to because both Drea and I have experienced her coaching ourselves. And we can tell you that she is not only incredible to work with, but she's truly an amazing human being. Outside of her work, she loves being outdoors, playing recreational volleyball, paddleboarding, cheering on sports teams, and spending quality time with her husband and their 3 daughters. We're excited to introduce you to her now.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Motherhood Alliance podcast. We are still here with Martha Bailey. Welcome back, Martha.
Hello.
Hi. So we had some great conversations with you earlier, just talking about like your life planner that you had, talking about end of life stuff. We had conversations about coaching business and just how people can benefit from that. But in this episode, we're kind of going off the rails a little bit, and we kind of had decided that we were going to do this at the last minute because
I did mention I love adventure and exploring.
Exactly. Yes. And so we've known each other for quite a while. We were talking about that a little bit as well. And I've actually worked with you too with like sourdough. You had a sourdough class going on. You worked with somebody with that. And that kind of got us into this topic that we're going to talk about right now, which is fermented foods, particularly the things that we've been dealing with, sourdough and yogurt and other things. But I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation because we're all going to kind of geek out a little bit. And first of all, to say we are not experts at this. We are just moms and people who love health, dabbling in things that are great for our gut. And I think this is just going to be really good to talk about. So
yeah, I'm excited.
So let's just talk about in general fermented foods, right?
Yeah.
If you guys aren't familiar with that, we're talking about things like yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, sourdough, things that really just are produced by microorganisms. And what they do is they break down the carbs and help increase gut microbiome diversity. And that's super important because the gut is, as we've heard, and if you guys haven't heard, it's basically the second brain. And so a lot of our gut actually helps with a lot of the different systems in our bodies. And so when you eat fermented foods, it actually enhances your digestive health. It boosts your immune function. It reduces inflammation. It can help you lose weight. There's a lot of different great benefits with fermented foods. So do you have anything else to add with that?
I would just add that this is not a new concept.
Right,
This
yes.
is how people survived hundreds and hundreds of years ago in many ways. So this isn't new science or a brand new discovery.
Right, exactly. For example, sourdough, literally, if you just want to make the basic sourdough, it's wheat or some kind of, wheat.
A wild yeast.
Yeah, and it's a wild yeast, so it's just water. And you can start it with water and, wheat.
Yep.
That's it. It takes some time. All this stuff takes time, which is a good thing. So like we talked about, some of it's dairy. So there's also vegetables too. So sauerkraut, pickles.
One of my kids' favorites, which I don't make often enough, but I have taught my daughters how to make it because really fermenting is an ingredient. It needs time to have that bacteria grow.
Yeah.
And so one of my kids' favorite recipes with vegetables is dilly carrot sticks. And it's super simple. I am a woman in the kitchen that I don't want an extensive 20 ingredient 5-hour cooking process.
I'm so with you. Yeah.
If there's ways to kind of prep it, set it, leave it, and it's good for you, I'm all in. So that's what got me started on fermenting foods. And dilly carrots were one that they hold their crunch. They're carrots that don't get soggy. Like pickles will get different. The carrots don't. And so usually if I make a couple pint jars of that and then we let them sit, by the time we actually get to where they're fully fermented, they're usually half gone because we have to sample them to see how they are. And then they're gone in a day.
When you're talking about these dilly carrots, are you saying canning them or just putting them in the fridge and letting them sit? So there's a difference between canned carrots and fermented dilly carrots.
Right. And actually neither fridge nor canned on the counter.
Okay.
Because they need air. So the other ingredient, I guess, would be air. Bacteria need air to breathe.
Share the recipe. How are you doing this?
What's the overview on, I'm curious, we can start with that. So dilly carrots.
Yeah.
Or, I guess this could apply to a lot of different types of vegetables you might want to.
Yeah. So
ferment.
Salt, water, and the vegetable and thyme. And air. It's really simple. You can add in other flavors. You can add the dill.
Sure.
Like that's one of the flavors. You can add garlic. So you can add some other flavors in there. But really like sauerkraut, it's cabbage and salt. And the water comes from when you're kneading that cabbage with your hands or with a press or however you make it.
Yeah.
So it's the salt that's the antimicrobial aspect. Well, not antimicrobial, but it's the like piece that's preventing it from just like
going
bad.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
How long do you let carrots?
The carrots usually like depending on the temperature of your house and the seasons, of course, in Wisconsin we have that varies sometimes.
Yeah.
But usually like 5 to 7 days, sometimes a little longer. And I think each thing like kombucha, they can be a little bit different.
Yes.
The other thing I will mention too, just because I have had friends that have fermented over the years and it's not all things play nice. So if you have your sourdough starter going with a yogurt starter and then fermented vegetables, you want them to be separated by at least like 6 feet or separate rooms because they can cross through the air and change texture and do weird things. That's cool, sciencey things.
Yeah. Well, I just did that actually, and I don't think anything happened, but I just was doing a sourdough starter on my counter, and then I had yogurt going as well. And I'll talk about the yogurt in a little bit, but this is a L. reuteri based yogurt. It's a different kind of bacteria, but it actually ferments for 36 hours and not your typical like 8-ish hours in the counter. So anyways, that's interesting.
Yeah. And I used to do, Drea knows I used to do the Vila yogurt, which originally came from Finland. And that was a heirloom countertop yogurt where I didn't heat it. You literally dump the yogurt, pour milk, let it sit. And that was around usually 20 to 24 hours. So just to give you guys an idea, like it really does vary, but it's not hard.
It's not hard.
That's what I emphasize. This is not hard stuff. If it was difficult or had a lot of steps,
I wouldn't do it.
Same.
I wouldn't do it. Yeah.
Same. I'm all about saving time and stress.
Right.
And this falls right in line. It's just figuring out what you like and what you want to play with.
Yeah, for sure. I think we'll have recipes in the show notes because it would take way too long to talk about each one of these things. But, we have sourdough, so you can do regular just sourdough, It's best to get a starter from somebody because that just cuts down on the initial time to start it all up.
Yeah.
And there's so many different things that you can do with sourdough too.
Yep, absolutely. And you can do gluten-free sourdough.
And that's a good point too.
You can have a gluten-free sourdough starter. So
Yep. Absolutely.
I want you to hold another class on that because I missed your last one, but I would love to do gluten-free sourdough. And so I dabbled with it for a while and then eventually I punted because it doesn't rise the same it's just different than regular sourdough.
And
so
I haven't made it myself, but my friend Daniela is doing some classes, not on the gluten-free, but she would probably love to do a class on that. And I always said I'm sort of like a beginner, but yet I could keep it alive. And she's been baking with sourdough for over a decade. So it's kind of fun to bring different stories, but I always said, you can do this. You can do this. Even if you can't keep plants alive, sourdough starter is hard to kill. And if you do, there's a lot of people that have a starter. So
I can also say that with kombucha too. With kombucha, it's the same sort of concept with fermented foods and it takes time, right? But you have a SCOBY in there. And I've accidentally left my SCOBY in my, the tea mixture for a very long time, but it does fine.
Months and months as well. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to drink that kombucha after that because I think it literally turns into an alcohol.
Yeah. It's a fermented tea. Kombucha is a fermented tea.
Yeah, so if we want to back up a little bit. So kombucha you make with like generally black tea, sugar, and then the SCOBY, and then leftover starter fluid, which is the kombucha that you have. So, and again, we'll put a recipe in here, but that's also a really yummy way. And you can also, you ferment for the first time, and the second fermentation, which takes less time, you can actually make it like flavored too. So I just made some really good blueberry lemon. So it was like a blueberry lemonade or blackberry lemonade kind of. It was super good. Right? You had some.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really good. Which I have to laugh because for those of you listening to this and you're like intrigued in this topic, but you've never dabbled and you're like, you leave yogurt on the counter for 2 days and then you eat it. Are you nuts? Or carrots on the counter for 7 days. That sounds bananas. Yeah. Our mom started doing kombucha, and for probably 2 years
we harassed her
and I'd be like drinking some moldy tea,
and she got some like, alien in you.
Yeah and here I am now.
She laughed at us.
And we've heard about probiotics, right? Taking probiotics, whether it's a powder or a liquid or a pill or whatever it is. Well, these are natural probiotics, and the thing I want to stress for like health wise is you're getting a variety. So really, we talk about kombucha, the vegetables, the yogurt, like there's all these different ways to have it in food, but it's got a little bit different variety of the type of bacteria, and it creates a healthy gut flora.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like probiotics, prebiotics are so good, especially I know with yogurt. And not only that, like we talked about the different benefits too, but with the yogurt. So I just started I used to make my own like yogurt just from like a store-bought yogurt, right? And there's certain bacteria, and this is something interesting, is that you can't call, according to the FDA, you can only call yogurt if there's only a specific, like there's 3 different bacteria, and I can't think of them off the top of my head. Just go in your fridge and look at if you have yogurt. Yeah, like that, and then there's like 1 or 2 more that are considered yogurt. Now that doesn't mean you can't make yogurt out of other kinds of bacteria. One of them is L. reuteri. And another one would be, and I might say it wrong, L. gasseri. And there's a difference between them. So L. reuteri is like a superfood. And actually, if you want to learn more about this, you can read the book Super Gut. It's by Dr. William Davis, and you can get that from the library or whatever, or just find it online.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll do that too. But what it is L. reuteri really just, it's like massive. So you have a lot of bacteria in regular yogurt. When you do L. reuteri, it's like 10 times as much prebiotics and probiotics. It actually helps reduce inflammation. It supports that gut barrier integrity and improves mood. And now you can also take that and add a different bacteria as well. So he calls it like I don't know if it's a cocktail or what, but L. gasseri actually helps with aiding in weight management, reducing abdominal fat, and alleviating like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO. So it's like you can actually take these 2 yogurts and put them together, which is what I did. And the difference between making this yogurt and a regular yogurt, the regular yogurt, you literally take your regular milk, whatever kind you want, and you put a couple of tablespoons of plain yogurt in there. So with live active culture, so just from the store, you have to actually warm it up to like 180 to 190 degrees. Take all the top, like there's like a film that comes on top of that. You take that off, and then you have to cool the milk down and let it sit to 110 to 115, and then you whisk in the starter. You actually let it sit only at 110 degrees for 4 to 12 hours. That's the regular yogurt. With L. reuteri, it's a little different because you actually add prebiotics to a starter, and you can actually take like these tablets. So literally L. reuteri tablets, which is the bacteria. So like you would just take them normally, but you crush them up. You add that with an inulin, which is a prebiotic. And again, we can put more information in the show notes. It's a little confusing. And then you add half and half to that. And so you stir it up and you incubate that for 36 hours at 100 degrees. So it's a little bit less temperature. There's different ways of doing this. Obviously, you could have a yogurt maker. You could have an Instant Pot. I actually use my dehydrator. It actually works pretty good. It stays right at 100 degrees.
And I heard like heating pads and coolers too.
Oh yeah, that would work too. But you have to make sure you keep a tab on the temperature, because if it goes over 110, it can actually kill the bacteria. But this yogurt is really good. It has a little bit of a different flavor, but I have seen a huge difference in my gut health as far as, TMI, pooping, right? So like even just like the health of that aspect, I can tell just taking a half a cup or quarter cup a day in whatever way.
You're going to have all sorts of people knocking on your door being like, yo, give me half a cup.
That sounds awesome.
It is so good.
One thing to mention, though, as we're talking about all of these, is if you've never done this or if you're trying a new one and you normally eat like, 3/4 cup of a yogurt with some berries on it, don't grab this new one and do 3/4 cup. Maybe start a little bit smaller, like even with kombucha. I know when you're first starting something, you start small so that your body can get used to it and just see how your body is thinking about it.
Yeah. I will also say too with L-reuteri, if you're pregnant, he doesn't recommend taking it during pregnancy, but there's ways that you can like make it so it's not as potent. Mm-hmm. And he explains that in the book why that is. But it's pretty hardcore. Yeah, and so this is not medical advice either, but it's just interesting how you can eat with the variety of bacteria and the amount. Like Brittany said, the goal is not to work up to drink a whole bottle of kombucha. That's not the goal. Right.
Just a little bit of exposure to that bacteria in your gut, it goes a long way.
It really does.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be every day. It could work it into your lifestyle. This is the coach in me saying, like, how do you want to incorporate it? You might hear this and get excited, like, I want to start with this. Well, don't start with all the things. Start with one thing. What's your favorite?
Martha, what is your thought on, like, I have heard people say, I have a spoonful of sauerkraut every morning. Like, can you have too much of these too? Can you overdo it on some of these?
I think your body is going to tell you. If you overdo it, your body is going to tell you. Your gut from the mouth to the exit will give you signals. So really trying to be in tune with your body on what's the right amount for you and starting small.
Mm-hmm. What all have you dabbled in?
The fermented veggies. We've done sauerkraut. We've done the dill pickles. I've done some other various types of vegetables, and we did beets. I've done that before.
Ooh, that sounds good, actually.
Yeah, and then we've done beet kvass. That's like a drink and from Russia, and that one we did a little bit, but nobody really liked it that well.
Oh, well, see, you just try and see.
So we tried that. We've done, my husband and I were playing with this when our kids were super small, and it was just kind of that, I think the science experiment type feel in us and just using real foods. So yeah, those are some of the ones I've done for sure. The yogurt, Vila yogurt, the sourdough, the health benefits with sourdough too. When I started to teach the classes with a friend, it was so fun to I want to know how it works. I want to know why it works. What's it doing in our bodies? And just the benefits of how it can help even out your blood sugars. It doesn't have the blood sugar spikes. It can help with the weight management because of the way it's absorbed. It's made to be absorbed throughout your digestive system and nutrients absorbed versus, just store-bought bread. So yeah, those are some of the things off the top of my head that I've played with. But
what is kimchi and kefir?
So kimchi is a different type of cabbage. It's like Napa cabbage, and then they also use like a fish sauce. So kimchi's in Asia often a side dish at every meal.
But did you hear that? A side dish at every meal.
Yeah, they are ahead of. They've been in. Like you said, this has been around for a long time. I'm sure it's a tradition thing, and how well are their guts,
and that one is one that we've made it, but it's hard to sell to the kids because it was a stronger flavor, and then you can make it spicy, and so that one we don't make in our home, but every once in a while my husband will buy a bottle and check in the fridge. That's usually in the fridge is the true. Your canned sauerkraut is not fermented in the store. You're not getting the health benefits. That's been heated or boiled where the bacteria is killed off.
That's a good point too.
Do you know much about kefir?
Kefir, I did the water grains. There's water or milk kefir, so both drink liquid, and that one is also a little sensitive with whether you're well water or city water, the type of water you use with that. But that was kind of cool. They look like these little jelly, like the water kefir that I did, like little jelly balls, and it's just a different texture than like the SCOBY is more of a flat, squishy thing. These are like tiny little jelly-like balls.
But is kefir milk-based too?
It can be milk-based too. I've never made that one, but I had a friend that definitely.
So it's like a different type of SCOBY that you're putting into either milk or water.
Yeah, they're called grains. So instead of SCOBY, it's grains because they're just smaller and there's a bunch of them.
One thing too is with these fermented foods, we kind of talked about sourdough, you can make it gluten-free. Even with yogurt, you can go dairy-free too. So there are options. So if you have if you're not really thinking that you want to, if you can't have dairy or gluten, maybe there are other options too that you can use. So I know with the L-reuteri, you can use coconut milk. There's a little bit extra steps with that, but you can do that. But also keep in mind, even with sourdough, the gluten content is different, right?
Yes, it's very, if you have a regular with gluten flour, by the time you ferment that time, it breaks down where the gluten is actually more absorbed. Your body can handle it. It's more tolerant.
Yeah. I mean, it's individually based too. So maybe it's something that you really can't do, but just think of that. Even like kombucha, you do put sugar in there. And so some people are like, I don't want extra sugar. Well, you let it ferment for a while, that sugar is going to get eaten up by the bacteria.
Yeah, the sugar feeds the bacteria.
Mm-hmm. So you need to have those things in there for the bacteria to flourish. And so those are eaten up and you don't have to worry about it.
So this isn't fermented necessarily, but the other thing I did when you were asking about what we've tried, and I still do today, is I will soak certain nuts in salt water for a certain length of time. Different nuts, different variety, but it helps to break down. The nuts have a protective shell, like the phytonutrients on the outside protect it from animals eating it or humans. So sometimes if you eat nuts, you get kind of bloated feeling, or it's what I noticed was for my toddler would chew an almond and then they'd spit it out because it was so hard to chew. When you soak the nut, you break down that phytic acid that protects it to make it more digestible. And they were able actually to eat it. It makes it crunchier too. So they were able to chew and eat the nut. So I do that with my almonds specifically all the time, just to help with digestion.
So is it with any nuts or?
There's certain nuts yes, Weston Price is a great resource. Weston Price Foundation. Sally Fallon is another well-known in the real food fermenting world. With recipes. Nourishing Traditions is a cookbook that they include stuff like making your own chicken broth, the fermenting vegetables, and then soaking different nuts and how the health benefits and how it helps with your body.
Oh, so is that something where you would soak them, you would just soak the amount that you're going to eat immediately, or can you soak them and then almost let them dry again?
I missed the point of drying them out. So you soak them, that breaks down the phytic acid, then you have to dry them. So you can dry them in the oven in a dehydrator.
Okay.
And that's what then helps them make crispy
How
and
long
store.
do you soak them for?
Usually a day, 24 hours.
I can see that because actually when I eat nuts, I do feel bloated and just not great.
Yeah. And once you start doing this, it's if I am somewhere and I have a handful and I notice it more, the bloating, because it's not the stuff that I usually have in my cupboard.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's something and the water, when you soak it, the water is kind of brown. It doesn't look the greatest. So when you drain that off, you're like, oh yeah, that's getting rid of some stuff.
Oh, we could just go
I was going to say, nobody has time for working, or really children. Sorry, children. We have things to do.
But you can involve them.
That's true.
And when they know it's food and they like it, that you can involve them at a young age, or at least having them eat it. It helps give you motivation to make these things when you know it's good for the whole family.
Yeah, absolutely. Even my yogurt does have a little bit of a different taste, so my kids are not super fans of it, but they don't mind it in their smoothie that I put it in that they don't know about. So it still helps their gut, And
we make maple syrup and adding a little bit of that because it's plain. It's not flavored yogurt.
Sure.
And there's no extra sugar. It's just the sugar that's in it naturally. So adding a little maple syrup adds some minerals and flavor, and that's another way to make it sweet. Or honey.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will say this was our very first completely off the cuff, hey, let's do a bonus episode type thing. And I think it went pretty well. It's pretty fun. But just to reiterate, none of this is medical advice. If you're going to follow one of these recipes, you're doing it at your own risk, all that jazz. But it's really fun. We've enjoyed dabbling it in all three of our kitchens. We've each, tried different things, and it's fun.
And good for you.
And good for you.
And good for you.
Thank you, Martha, for joining us for all 4 of these episodes. We really enjoyed just picking your brain in so many different topics, and we just appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun, and I just really want to get the word out to more people about coaching, and that nurses are kind of built for that, and I just love what I do.
It's like having your own personal nurse, right? Essentially, that's what
wonderful.
It is. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Martha.
Thanks.
If you enjoyed this episode, would you consider leaving a rating or review or sharing it directly with a friend who could benefit from the information? We know that you're a busy mom or caregiver, and our goal is to make your life easier by bringing tips and tricks directly from experts into your earbuds. By sharing this episode with someone you love, you can play a critical role in helping to make their life easier as well. We appreciate your time, and thank you for being a part of the Motherhood Alliance family.